Hey, this is Nathan Mongol Wells, and you're listening to the Midwest Mixtape Podcast.
Sing that song once more for me. There will be times that I'll miss it. Pray to God that he'll save our souls. 'Cause where we're going, only he knows. Maybe when it's all over, we'll both meet again.
Hi, and welcome to the Midwest Mixtape Podcast, live from the Barn Studios in Southeast Missouri. You got the Mox here with Justin. Justin, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going, man. It's a wonderful afternoon.
Absolutely. We have a special guest with us online. We have Nathan Mongol Wells. Nathan, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely.
Really excited about your new album coming out on State Fair Records, From a Dark Corner, out August 18th, here in a couple weeks. You excited to get this thing out or what?
Oh, man, yes, no doubt. It's been a long time coming, so I'm very excited. There's a lot of nerves going into it, too, because there's still so much to figure out. But, yes, excited for sure.
How much blood, sweat, and tears you put in that thing? Nights of sleep lost?
Oh, man, just about all I got, I think, honestly. I thought after putting out 2 records with my band that a solo album would be just so much easier, and I think it's been so much harder for some reason. Yeah, it's crazy.
And you're no stranger to releases and music and touring and all that. You've been in the business for a number of years, but I bet this is a little bit different for you. Does it make it more personal? Is definitely more stressful, I would guess.
Yeah, more stressful, but yeah, I mean, I think part of that stems from just how personal it is. You know, putting out stuff with a band, it's sort of a democracy sort of situation, and it's you and your buddies working through all these problems together. And this, it's especially like I'm so lucky to have the State Fair Records team on my side with all this because it really is like a family, and they definitely are a huge help. But even still, it's a bunch of people now sitting in a room looking at you like, well, what do you want to do? And you're like, shoot, But yeah, I mean, and I do think like as you do music, every time you get used to certain aspects of it, like load in is about the easiest thing in the world most of the time now. But still, there's always new challenges and things to discover and different ways to do it and different ways to try it. Yeah, and that's how you have to look at it for sure, especially when you are lying awake at night thinking of all the things you got to do or figure out.
And we want to send a shout out to Josh Zanger from All Eyes Media. He actually sent us an advanced copy of the record. We've been spinning it ever since he sent it to us. What I love about it most, I think, is it seems like there's some darker themes on the record, but there's always this sort of tongue-in-cheekness with your music, and I especially hear that on this record as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that observation. I mean, I think that's something that drew me to music, especially country music and folk and things of that nature, because there always seemed to be this sense of humor with it all that was always really appealing to me, because, I love sad music as much as everybody else, but if you can't, laugh sometimes or poke a little bit of fun at it, then it just gets to be too much after a while, at least for me. So
I feel like there's a bit of a resurgence of that, with like Willie Carlisle, Adeem the artist. I'm hearing a lot of sort of whimsical stuff in country folk right now.
Yeah, again, I think it just sort of lends itself well to that because you're telling stories and the most memorable stories are often ones that have that sort of quirky edge to it. It comes from campfire tales and things of that nature, right? So,
right.
Yeah. And I love, all those folks that are doing that. Hayes Carl was like a big one for me when I was like in college. I discovered him and She Left Me for Jesus, which I think is a gateway country song for a lot of people, Right. I've been listening to a lot of like classic stuff, but I hadn't really found a modern artist that was quite doing it. Maybe, Old Crow, but they definitely are not afraid to be hilarious at times and real goofy. But yeah, so, I think probably me and a bunch of the other folks that are coming up right now have a similar story to tell with just that sort of thing,
We have 3 singles released already. Do you care if we take a listen to some of these and you can tell us a little bit more about them?
Oh, no, please. Let's do it.
so once more for me. There will be times that I'll miss it. Pray to God that he'll save our souls. 'Cause where we're going, only he knows. Maybe when it's all over with.
Now you'll have to help me with the pronunciation. Belula Land?
Beulah. You're close.
I thought it was.
Beulah Land.
I told him before we got on the phone with you.
The amount of times that I've spelled that wrong in just, this whole process. So don't worry. I get it. It's a weird word.
I hear a lot of Tom Waits and Leonard Cohen in there, and I know this is a song about loss. Tell us a little bit about the song.
Yeah, definitely. Tom Waits was another huge one for me. I mean, he was what introduced me to a lot of like the roots side of things. And I just devoured his discography when I first discovered it. So it's always been something that's just a huge inspiration. So of course, it has to not even creep into my music, but maybe pour in from time to time. But yeah, it's a song. I wrote it kind of inadvertently. It was an older song that I reworked and rewrote the lyrics to and sort of changed the structure and stuff like that. And the lyrics just sort of came to me. And instead of it was originally like a murder ballad, just sort of straightforward, a story, not about anything personal necessarily. And the way it came together ended up kind of being about losing a friendship, which, it's one thing to have a relationship end, like a romantic relationship, but losing a friendship can often be, just as devastating, if not more. And that's the sort of the point I was trying to put across in the lyrics of just, that sort of bitterness and that regret and that, also, there's a tinge of hope because Beulah Land is like heaven or the afterlife. So, there's a hope that maybe someday you can reconcile.
It kind of gave me the imagery listening to it, almost kind of like one guy at a saloon, just literally being the guy on the outside looking in, basically thinking about those emotions, watching everybody dance to that nice swaying tone to it. That's kind of the imagery that I got listening to it.
Well, I love that. Yeah, that's, I feel like kind of the whole record in some ways reflects that kind of viewpoint, because I do kind of feel like, maybe as an artist in general, a lot of people feel this way, but you are kind of the guy looking at everybody else and making these observations and hopefully being able to relate it to yourself in some sort of way to make some sort of growth or progress, or at least come out with a good song.
Can I quote you real quick?
Sure. I don't know what I said.
Yeah. It depends on what it is, huh? Right. Rather than about a romantic relationship, it's about friendship falling apart, which I think in many ways is more devastating. And I agree. The thought of losing a friend can be just as devastating as anything else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I've gone through it, unfortunately, several times. And some, we have been able to come back around and are stronger for it now. And others, we'll see. So it's definitely something I've lived.
And I totally relate to that. I actually recently wrote a song myself where the lyrics basically went like, all my friends left me at the altar. So like basically, and I guess they found some better offers, and basically, everyone starts to get married and stuff and starts drifting apart. And so basically all your friends left you to go get married or left you because you got married. Yeah,
no, that's a very real thing. I'm 31 now, so that's something that I am seeing or encountering all the time.
Right.
And I would imagine as being a touring musician and a professional musician, you have to be out of town a lot. So you might even experience that maybe more than other people, other than maybe carnival workers or something.
Right.
Yeah, it is something you have to be really intentional about when you are in town and just really make a point, which, sometimes when you get home, all you want to do is sit around and not leave the house, but they're keeping those relationships alive and showing people that you care is very important. And oftentimes more rewarding than that night of sleep that you probably were looking forward to. At least in my case. I am sort of a party animal though, so what can I say?
Well, you have to enjoy it too. If you're going to be out there on the road, you have to enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
That's right.
Can we hear another one?
Let's do it.
Let's do In Years here.
Remember days we spent working out our plans. just takes time and effort, and so that's how we began. We'd meet on that old patio, sounding out our fears. It all makes sense about 2 drinks in. Ain't been that way in years. Ain't been that way in years.
Man, it's hard to cut that one off. Tell us about In Years.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so that is a tune that I wrote when it was a sort of a crossroads moment for me, where big life changes were happening. I was moving back up to Dallas after living away for a while, and just trying, like, it was sort of that moment of deciding to pursue music versus pursue other possibly more lucrative or successful or just easier life paths.
You say he's deciding between selling your soul or
Working for the
Exactly.
man.
right. That's the crossroads. There you go.
And all the I guess sacrifices that you sort of make in pursuing that sort of thing, and looking back at what kind of could have been simpler times, perhaps, or, and just looking forward with uncertainty. So yeah, I mean, that's sort of what the gist of that tune is all about.
And you mentioned Dallas. I know you have an album release show on August 18th at Revelers Hall in Dallas, Texas. Pretty excited about that as well?
Oh, very excited. Yeah, it should be really cool. It's going to be a unusual. I've played so many shows where it's, 2 or 3 bands, opener, middle band, and then the headliner. And I just really wanted to try and do something different with this record release. So there's actually 8, this is counting myself, but 8 artists playing all throughout the evening. So we'll, start out with full band and go to solo and then trio, and, just sort of fold back and forth between all the different things, and try and make it something really dynamic and inclusive and collaborative, with a bunch of some people that I know really well here and some other people that I don't know as well, but who are all really talented musicians as well.
And that was the only show that I saw on your website. Is there a plan for a tour to support the record in the future?
Yes. Yeah. Working on that now. So I actually just got lucky enough to pick up a brief run with Rhett Miller from Old 97s. And, so that was really cool. And now everything, is just trying to lay it all back down and get out there again. So much planning goes into the album release itself, and then the release show and all that. That's kind of been the focus, but working on dates for afterwards as well. So to come up to Missouri.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your music is so associated with live performances, and like we said, you've been playing for over a decade now. How has your performance influenced your music and artistic growth over the years?
That is a great question. I mean, I love performing, sort of chief among the whole thing. So you can't really separate the two for me. Going into the studio has always been trying to replicate that energy and that feeling of the live performance, which they're very different, but it has taught me, I think, in many ways, how to be a better musician and artist. And, like, if you can't do it live, then you shouldn't do it in the studio. And so it forces you to get better if you want to do it, and just interactions with bandmates and producers and all that sort of starts with the live performance. So going to see bands that you either already like or don't know yet, and, just discovering new music and all that, it's such a big part of the equation for me.
Right. I totally relate with that as far as what you were talking about with never doing things in the studio that you couldn't do live. I actually I grew up with listening to a lot of bands that actually their philosophy where they would just basically do the craziest things that they could in the studio, and then it would actually kind of be one of those things where, like, we could never do that live, but then they figured it out and they became better musicians for it, and therefore their music became better for it.
Yeah. I mean, like, the Beatles,
right,
just doing whatever they could in the studio. Mm-hmm. I always am so impressed by the Beatles cover bands that somehow managed to do what they never did live,
Yeah.
Right. It's pretty impressive.
Technology probably plays a little bit into that too, or the backing
no
tracks.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Is that something you'd ever consider doing, is playing to a backing track? It doesn't seem like that would be your gig, but
I mean, so there's a musician here. He actually, he's also a producer, and he produced my first two, like, you know, high school records that are not out anymore. We never even really put them out. They were just sort of briefly online for a while and stuff like that. And he has a whole thing where he has a boombox, like an actual cassette tape boombox that he brings out, and he plays along to that. So it's sort of part of the shtick.
Oh, right.
And I think it works really well. But that's his thing. I'm not trying to steal that. You know, I never say never, but it would have to be really cool or really, you know, something along those lines, I think. I've seen those like Nashville guys that come out and play with backing tracks, and it does sound really good, but I feel like it takes away something, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean, I always want to try to embrace technology, but man, that live experience is always so special to me. It doesn't feel all that live when you're listening to something Milli Vanilli style. And I think even Cardi B had one like this week where she stopped singing and then she was still singing. But
yeah. That would terrify me too much, I think.
Too much to keep track of.
That, and like, what if it does, something messes up, you know, and then everybody knows.
Right.
We interview a lot of different artists, a lot of different genres. There was a metal musician, a metal drummer that we interviewed, and he said, you know, they got the click in their ear,
Right.
And he said they were either a full measure or a full click off. The whole band was, and the band's following him. So in real time, he's trying to slow down to catch back up to the click. It's like, holy cow, my brain wouldn't work that way.
The thing is, though, is actually playing to a click is one of the best things that you can do as a musician.
Sure.
Live or in the studio. So, but it is really hard whenever you got those technical difficulties and you just end up being behind it. It does challenge you more, but it does put you more in sync with one another.
You know, I could see that. I think that's way different than playing to a backing track.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure, yeah.
We're off on a little tangent here. Let's get back on track. How about taking?
No, you're good.
How about taking for a ride? Can we hear that one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Y'all got 5 minutes?
Yeah. It's right at 5 minutes, right? Like exactly.
It's something like that. It's pretty long.
Up in the morning, unhappy without a warning, telling me that life ain't all it's cracked up to be. You clean the house in silence, dropping cold, subtle sly hints resolving in the end.
That old sad bastard music. I love that slide guitar on that. Tell us about Taking for a Ride.
Yeah, that is definitely a sad song. It's a really personal one. It's one that's meant a lot to me, and to, you know, I've been lucky to see it mean a lot to a lot of people as I've played it, you know, over the years. And so to have it out now is a really incredible thing. But it's, you know, it's a slice of my own life in that moment, was dealing with relationships with multiple people, family, romantic relationships, all that sort of thing, and just trying to come to terms with mistakes I'd made and put it all together somehow, or keep it all together somehow.
I'm going to be quite honest with you, man. I kind of want to hear that one on Yellowstone.
Oh boy. Well, hey,
let's do that. Let's make that happen.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that on an episode of Yellowstone. That'd be pretty cool.
That would so fit. You're right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, instantly, it just took me right there to an episode I watched of Yellowstone.
Somebody walking away in a dark. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're gonna make that happen somehow.
High praise. Yeah. I'll call up Kevin and we'll get that happening.
Definitely be good promo.
That's right. Yeah, that's for sure. No, that'd be awesome. I love what that show's been doing for my type of music and all the folks that have been on there. It's pretty awesome. There's actually a guy from the Dallas area who was on there recently, and it was just really cool to see him get some national attention because he is pretty incredible. So
yeah, they do seem to be highlighting some maybe lesser known artists. It seems like I don't know who's the music director over there, but they seem to be doing something right.
Absolutely,
no doubt. Yeah, kind
of feels like more like it's supposed to fit than just they're trying to find the biggest name that they can to get more promo on it.
Right,
and it just creates more authenticity both for the music and for the show being symbiotic.
Yeah.
Symbiotic.
Right. So. It works both ways. I think people enjoy the show more for that reason too.
Exactly.
So.
Let's get that guy a raise. He needs a raise.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the Midwest Mixtape Podcast. We're joined here with Nathan Mongol Wells. And new album out, From a Dark Corner, out August 18th, State Fair Records. You're going to go to mongolwells.com to get all the information. We have 3 songs out now. I won't say the B word.
Beulah Land, yeah.
In Years, Taken for a Ride, which is one of my favorites. We're digging this record. If you're in the Dallas area, you're going to go to the album release show August 18th at Revelers Hall in Dallas, Texas. And Nathan, we appreciate your time tonight, man.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been an honor and a pleasure and really great talking to y'all.
Sing that song once more for me. There will be times that I will miss it. Pray to God that he'll save our souls. 'Cause where we're going, only he knows. Maybe when it's all